Today I would like to continue my story about our traveling in Russia, and this time I would like to tell you about our trip to Moscow, which we had in the 2023 in winter period. I can tell that it was just after the holidays, New Year holidays, which usually length till the end of the first or second week of January, so it was somewhere in the middle of January. I wanted to do it on purpose because I wanted to have all the museums, all the hotel streets empty. So because working period started and we actually go to trip, and that's actually the way how I love to travel. I love to choose absolutely opposite time with like season travel. So first of all, I want to tell that I chose a mini hotel in the center of Moscow, not the exact center, but not so far. It was on the subway station, which is called Sukharevskaya, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, to tell a bit about Moscow, of course, I guess you probably know that Moscow is the capital of Russia, the biggest city. The population is about 12 or 13 million of people. In Russian, Moscow is Moskva. So this is the biggest, the richest, the most famous city of Russia, I guess. And usually people say, even Russian people say that there is Moscow and there is rest of the Russia, because actually everyone says that quality of life in Moscow is much higher than in the rest of the Russia, and I think they are right, actually. So we stayed at the mini hotel. There were just 13 rooms, and when we came there, and there was just one worker, as I saw it, just one old lady, and the hotel was absolutely empty, but just one room was equipped, and she gave us a room nearby this equipped room, and we were like, okay. And we had it was in the morning. I think it was like 11 or 12 o'clock, not morning but afternoon, and we had some time in Moscow, so I'll tell you later about it. First I want to tell about the story in hotel. And then in the evening we came back, and we wanted to have some break in our room and then go somewhere to have a dinner. And our neighbors in the next room, they were I think some two alcoholics, so some two drunk men. And the first thing I heard, the ringtone on the phone on one man, it was just unstoppable. Someone phoned him and he had the Roxette song. I forgot the name of the song, but it's very famous. It's I don't know where you're going and I don't know why. I listen to your heart. And just 1,000 times his phoned, and actually this hotel, it was okay, but the sound, all the sounds you could hear very well, so it was bad sound as isolation. And I heard this ringtone so many times while we were in our room, so it was driving me crazy. And I thought, when they will stop? And I was sitting on the bed, and then I saw, I heard like something crashed, something glass maybe crashed. It was very loud noise. And I was like, okay, maybe they broke some bottles. I don't know, they are drinking something there. And after some time, I wanted to stand on the floor from the bed, and I put my legs on the water, into the water, and it was like the water, and I was a bit shocked. So the thing what happened that the one alcoholic, he fall in the toilet and broke this toilet, and maybe broke some tube. So that's why our room was in the water. I am happy that just in the water. And this woman, this old lady who was the only person from staff in the hotel, she came there, she started shouting at them, and we said like our room in the water, and she was like, oh, never mind. She just came and mopped our floor and that's it. And she kicked them out. She kicked them out, and the next days we were absolutely alone in the hotel. No one was there, but the plumber was coming several days in the morning to fix the toilet. So that was our first day. Yeah. And now just about the Moscow. We had 5 days there. I had just 2 trips in Moscow in my life. The first one was when I was 17. It was the summer period, and I had the same feelings actually which I had during my second trip, which I tell you next about. And this one was the second one, but in the winter period. So I wanted to visit some special places because so some of them I already visited, some classical museums I visited during my first trip, and this time I wanted to visit something not so classical, not like Red Square, not Kremlin, because I've already seen all of this, so I'm sorry I won't show it in this video, but actually these things are the most stereotypical about Moscow, and I think you can Google the pictures easily. If you just Google Moscow, there will be the pictures of Kremlin, of Red Square, of all the most, all these stereotypic places. And yeah, by the way, I didn't show you where the Moscow is located, but I think it's not very interesting because it's quite famous, and actually the location is, I can just say that it's located in the, I hope that you can see it, in the European part of Russia. So the whole Russia is there, but Moscow is here, and St. Petersburg, the second biggest city, is here, so they are not really far from each other. So this time I wanted to concentrate on different places which I haven't visited the first time and which are not so famous and stereotypical. First of all, we went to the Museum of Physics and some natural natural physical phenomena, and also there was some kind of planetarium where you can watch a movie about dinosaurs, about outer space, and we had first, it was all in one building, but just on several floors, on different floors, and I had mixed feelings about this place. The museum was big. There were lots of exhibits, plenty of, and this hall costed, I think, for both of us, it was maybe 4,000 or 5,000 rubles. This is $40 or $50, which is actually a lot. We bought the whole tickets for everything, and there was a very strange system. For example, if you entrance to this museum, you can spend some time there, and also you have an entrance to some other small museum, but you can visit it just before going to watch the movie about dinosaurs and outer space, and the movie starts at exact time, and you don't know how much time it will take to watch this museum, the second museum, and you can't go out over there, so you can stay in the first museum, which is big. If you go out, you can't get back inside. If you go to the small museum, you can't get back outside. So that was crazy. And I like that there were lots of exhibits, but what I didn't like, there were almost no explanation. What is that, why it works like that, how to do what to do with that. So you need mostly to guess, or there was like 1 or 2 workers, consultants who helped to the visitors, but museum was enormous. It was enormous, 2 floors museum, and just with lots of people, lots of kids, and just two workers to explain what to do with all this. For me, that was not really cool, and that's why I didn't like it. Then we went, and I always was worried that we don't have time to watch the second museum, because I wanted to watch everything here and everything there, because we paid lots of money and I wanted to watch everything, not only because we paid, but also because that was our only time there, and that's it. That's why. So that was a bit unpleasant, and when we went to watch the movie, the second museum was actually tiny. We observed it in 5 minutes, and it was quite boring. Typical old classical museum where you can't touch anything and everything is super super stable and not interesting. The movies were terrible. The first movie, which was actually Russian, it was quite cool. It was about how to navigate by stars. It was really cool filmed, and the story was told quite well. I really loved it. But that wasn't the main movie. That was like pre-movie. And the second movie, it was foreign, but I think it was like 15 years old. It was about dinosaurs with terrible graphics, not interesting, with terrible sounding, and that was awful. So I wrote them that type of review on Google Maps, and yeah, and there I told everything I didn't like and everything I like, and I'm not sure that everyone saw this review, because Google Maps, they are popular, but usually people read reviews on the other how to say it, other apps or browsers, other apps. So that's it. It was the first day. The second day, I really wanted to visit Stankina TV tower, which and actually it was an excursion there about how it works, and also you can go up on the highest point, one of the highest points of this TV tower, and observe the city view, and I really wanted to do this. But the fact is that the weather was not so well, and that's why we almost haven't seen anything. We just saw the photos how it should be from this observing point, but in general it was quite interesting. It also was expensive. We paid for both of us $40, about $40, but the excursion was nice, and it was not so long, I think maybe an hour, but it was an interesting experience. We've seen how it works from inside, and we get to this observing point. We could spend time there. There were different like posters to read, some interactive stuff, not so much, but still you could have some interesting time there, and I was absolutely, I think, cheerful with this TV tower, so I would recommend to visit it if you are in Moscow. The next day we visited. I also avoid some facts because I want to collect them in the end in some whole facts. So of course we had some walks into the city, on the streets, in the parks, but I'll tell about this later in the end. The next day, the third day, we went to the museum which I was recommended by my friend. It was the Museum of Jewish History, and I can tell that this was the best museum in Russia I ever visited, and I think one of the best museums of ever I ever visited, because it's really like perfect museum should be. Unfortunately we have photos, but our photos don't express the whole my real impression of the museum, because on these photos it looks like a usual museum, but actually it's quite cool. There were a perfect combination of interactive and informative of the space building, so how everything is organized, and the museum was quite cheap because it's sponsored by Jewish society, so it was really modern, really cool, not expensive, and very interesting. We spent there maybe 2 hours and a half. So I don't remember the price, but I think it was less than $5 per person, and or no, maybe even for 2 person it was something about $5. I don't remember. So I really loved this museum, and I don't really remember, is it really comfortable to visit it if you don't know Russian? Of course, there were some translations, not some, maybe. I think there were some translations, but of course, just in English. And maybe they were not everywhere like 100%. But in general, it was quite good. And this is the place which I also would really recommend you to visit. Also, it was located in some, I don't know how to call it, some community, some Jewish community. So also there were some, I don't know, some living stuff of Jewish people, and that was an interesting thing to watch on it from inside. So yeah. Then the next day, the fourth day, we visited a museum which was called the Museum of Cryptography, and it was the second best museum in Russia and in general. The only thing which was a bit tempting for me there, the museum is enormous. What is cryptography? Because I didn't know what is cryptography. It's coding, it's making codes, or to hide the information, to make it more enigmatic, to hide it from people you don't want to understand it. And it was the museum of the whole history of cryptography from the very ancient times until the nowadays programming. So there were floors, and each floor was dedicated to each period of time. And it was really interesting, but the museum was really enormous, and I think it's impossible to visit it just in one day, because there are lots of information, lots of some interactive things, and we came there twice. The next day I came there too. And I was worried because of that, because I thought, no, we have a schedule, we have not so much time. And even the next time we came there in the evening, and the one hall, we didn't watch it to the end. We watched just half of this hall, so the half of the hall from the whole museum I haven't seen, and I feel a bit sad about it because the museum was closing. And yeah, so it's super cool. I'll give you the photos and the videos. The fact is, there I'm really not sure, because if there were lots of English translations in all the games, in all the interactive stuff, in all the inscriptions, there definitely were, but again, I'm not sure that everywhere. But still, I was really impressed. The problem is that the entrance was quite expensive. I think without any discounts, it was maybe $7 or $8. Yeah, $7 or $8 per one person. And that's why I was upset, because I'm like, I already paid and I haven't seen all of this, and I need to pay twice, and even maybe the third time if I could. So, but that's what the museum was really cool. And the last museum we visited, it was the Museum of outer space. In Russia it's called Cosmonautics, so it's about outer space, about flying to outer space. And we had some photos. I'll look through some photos of it, but actually I didn't like it. I was recommended also to visit it, but I don't know, maybe like 30 years ago it was interesting. Not 30, okay, not 30, maybe 15. 15 years ago it was interesting, because it's also very big. There are lots of exhibits, even some interactive stuff, but after these two museums it was not really well. I didn't really like it. And it was, you could just come there, see, and forget about it. So I wasn't really impressed. I'll find some photos, but it's very classical museum, very similar to some classical technical museum or natural history museum. But actually, yeah, there were lots of exhibits. It's just what was a bit oldie, I would say. So there were the places which I visited during this trip, and now I'd like to tell about my general impression of Moscow, what I like and what I didn't like. What I liked, I really liked the subway system. There are lots of subway stations in Moscow, some crazy amount of subway station. I don't remember how I write it. And you are always nearby some subway. You don't need to get by bus. You don't need to go for a long time. You can be anywhere in the city and subway will be somewhere nearby. That's really cool. Also, for example, everyone say that Moscow is noisy, crowded, in a hurry, but I didn't feel it at all. For example, in St. Petersburg, I feel it very much because the streets in St. Petersburg are quite narrow because it was built in European style. I mean the city center, but still in general, in Moscow, streets are really wide and people have space to spread somehow. And also there are lots of subway stations. In St. Petersburg, there are like 3 times less, I guess, subway stations. And mostly in the city center, people have just not so much subway stations they need, and they all go to one subway station, which is also quite small. And there, for example, I felt that they are crowded, they are small and uncomfortable. In Moscow, I felt that everything is really calm and actually not so much people, and we had walks, for example, also in the streets, in the parks, in city center, and we were absolutely alone there. You felt like you are in the forest, but you are in Moscow, in this almost in the city center. Okay, not in the city center, but nearby, and that was not I expected. Everyone said opposite thing. Also, what I liked, for example, Moscow City. That's also one place we visited, and it was interesting because I haven't seen something like this in Russia before, and yeah, that was something new to see. But the reconstruction wasn't 100% over there, and that's why it was maybe not really cozy to be in this district of glass high towers. It's like now it's like very expensive, very posh, luxury place to live and to work and all this stuff. But actually it was very funny, how to say it, separated with fencing from usual houses which were nearby. And you know, that's something very Russian. When I saw it, that was very, very typical for Russia. So, but still I loved it because it was something new, something unusual, and I've seen something like this only in London, maybe in Germany, in some cities, but still I can't say that I wouldn't love to live there, for example, or to walk there, because there actually nowhere to walk. There are just some streets with lots of people, cars, because there actually streets are quite narrow for some reason. I don't know why, but this place was really interesting to visit. Of course, if you are from USA, I think in big US cities you've seen lots of buildings like that, but for example in Europe I haven't seen so many these buildings, or mostly living in Russia. So of course for me that was really interesting to see. What I loved else, I loved in the subway stations. I loved, for example, they have mirrors on subway stations, so you can look in the mirror, check how do you look like. That's really nice. They had organized places for musicians. That was cool. They had special places for kids, like if you are lost, stay here, for example, or this is the place where to meet your parents, and it was marked somehow. Now in St. Petersburg, for example, about kids, they have such kind of thing too, but all the other I haven't seen. So they have some nice cozy posters, what to do, how to behave right, and that's what I liked. So that's just tiny things, but they are cool. I was impressed with one endless train. I haven't seen something like this before. So I was really impressed with subway system in Moscow. Also, they have different ways to pay the subway. Just you can pay just with your phone, with your watches, if they have this option. And many different types of cards. The card can be even this size, and you can wear it like, I write the word, I don't know this word. So it was quite cool and quite interesting. What I didn't like, first of all, I had 5 days there, and 5 times I got poisoned. Every day. I don't mean that I was vomiting or I had some gestation disorder. I just felt, I always feel when I eat something bad, I start feeling it right at the moment, and I just have pills, always have pills with me while traveling or while going, eating out somewhere. And if I understand that I feel bad, I just eat them at this moment, and they are like neutralizing all this. And every day I felt bad, and sometimes once it even didn't help. So I felt bad all the evening, and my husband felt bad too. And there was one cafe we really loved. It was the Asian cafe. I don't remember the name, but I'll try to find it and I'll give you the name just in case. We ate there several times, and I think it was really nice, and it was one of the best Asian cafes, at least in Russia I visited. But I got an impression that in smaller cities, when I was in smaller Russian cities, there can be, for example, if the city is small, and there can be even just one good cafe, but if it's good, it's really good. They really try hard. In Moscow, people, I think not only Moscow, maybe in St. Petersburg too, but now I am saying about Moscow, they know that people come to them because there are lots of people, lots of tourists, and I think they don't really try hard because of this. So yeah, there are lots of interesting cafes, lots of interesting places, but the quality, I wasn't really satisfied with that. Or it can be really expensive. For example, the other cafe, I don't recommend it. It was like a buffet where you just say, give me this, this, and this, and the food is just in front of you, and they like put it in your plate in the moment. It was super expensive. It was cool, the quality of food was cool, but it was super expensive. So we had a breakfast there like for $20. That's crazy. And so the food I didn't really like, except this cafe. And also what I didn't like, I can't say that I didn't like, I think I just was disappointed, because people in Russia, they are a bit crazy about Moscow, because everyone wants, not everyone, now it's not like that, but maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everyone wanted to go to Moscow because everything was better there, and still it's like that, the salaries, the life level, but now it's now people don't want it anymore because it's many people don't want it anymore because it's too expensive and too difficult to live there. The concurrence is quite high, and I was expecting that it's really cool there. But I haven't seen something really special, because still it was there were the same problems with St. Petersburg, with snow, ice on the streets. So it was difficult to walk through the streets, and that's a very big problem for Russian Nordic cities, because sometimes it seems to me that no one does anything with the problem of ice, and people fall, people get injuries. And in Moscow it was the same problem. Lots of snow, which was just collected in a huge hill side of the road, and that's it. Usual buildings, and just lots of Porsche, the expensive cars of different cool people who have these lightnings, so they want everything to pass them through, to pass them ahead. And I already told in the previous video, the architecture very different from each other, so it's like a mishmash, and I didn't really like that. So very different buildings can stand nearby, and that's a bit like, I would call it visual noise for me. So I think if I haven't waited from this city so much, it would be better, because when I come to some small city, I'm okay with it, because I don't wait anything. I wait just, I hope it's not gonna be really bad. And usually it's not really bad, so I'm satisfied. I find it's even nice and cozy and authentic. But in Moscow, my expectations were really high, and they were not satisfied because of this. So, for example, I still loved London more than Moscow, and some German cities, or Budapest. I really like Budapest, and I find it more pleasant, for example. So yeah, but that's my opinion. I can be. It's a subjective. I have my own tastes, and you can have different opinion if you visited Moscow or you'll visit it. So that's all I wanted to say about Moscow, and I hope this video was interesting for you. I hope that if you want to visit it one day, you got some information, you got something interesting, some ideas. So thank you for watching, and пока-пока.